Shannon Catherine Zutch was born on January 10, 1984, in Pick, New Jersey. Raised in Abilene, North Carolina, alongside her brother Frankie, Shannon grew up with the values of perseverance and kindness, which her parents instilled in her. These traits would define her throughout her life. Shannon attended Pinecrest High School in Southern Pines, North Carolina, where she built a reputation as a caring and driven individual. After graduation, she pursued various career opportunities in industries like retail and business management, excelling in challenging roles. In her mid-20s, Shannon faced a significant challenge when she was diagnosed with lupus, an autoimmune disease. The condition affected various parts of her body, including her skin, joints, and kidneys. Despite the diagnosis, Shannon didn't let it defeat her. Instead, she used it as motivation to adopt a healthier lifestyle and became an advocate for self-care, inspiring those around her with her resilience. Meeting Chris Watts. In 2010, Shannon's life took a new turn when she met Chris Watts, who sent her a friend request on Facebook. At the time, Shannon was recovering from a previous relationship and dealing with the toll lupus had taken on her body. Chris's kind and quiet demeanor quickly captured Shannon's attention, and their connection seemed to deepen almost immediately. What stood out to Shannon was the stability and care Chris offered, something she had longed for during her struggles. Their relationship blossomed rapidly, with Shannon believing their meeting was fate, feeling that Chris entered her life exactly when she needed him most. By November 2012, their bond had grown strong enough for them to marry. They began their life together in Frederick, Colorado, where Shannon described Chris as the best thing that ever happened to her, bringing light into one of the darkest times in her life. Motherhood and struggles. In 2013, Shannon's joy grew when she gave birth to her first daughter, Bella Marie. Despite her health struggles, including lupus flare-ups, Shannon embraced motherhood with love and determination. She cherished the opportunity to care for Bella and celebrated the special moments of her new life as a mother. 2 years later, in 2015, Shannon and Chris welcomed their second daughter, Celeste Catherine. Shannon often referred to Bella and Celeste as her miracles, acknowledging the challenges her health posed to pregnancy. The birth of her daughters brought a new sense of purpose to Shannon's life, and she worked hard to balance the demands of motherhood with managing her chronic condition. As their family grew, Shannon's pride in her children and her family became evident to everyone around her. She continued to share the joys of motherhood on social media, expressing gratitude for her family and the love they had built together. Despite the ups and downs, Shannon remained dedicated to her family, always striving to create a sense of normalcy and happiness in their lives. The disappearance. On the morning of August 13, 2018, Shannon Watts returned home after a late-night business trip. Her friend, Nicole Atkinson, had dropped her off, unaware that the day would soon take a tragic turn. Shannon, who was 15 weeks pregnant with her third child, had been in regular communication with her husband, Chris, throughout the trip. However, their conversations had become increasingly tense, and Shannon began to suspect that something was off. Later that day, Nicole tried reaching out to Shannon, knowing she had a doctor's appointment scheduled that morning for her pregnancy. When Shannon didn't respond to texts and calls, Nicole grew concerned. Missing the appointment was highly unusual, as Shannon had always been diligent about her health. Worried, Nicole decided to visit Shannon's home. She knocked on the door and rang the bell but received no response. She called Chris, asking if he knew where Shannon was, but he claimed she had gone on a playdate. Nicole's anxiety grew as she realized something wasn't right, especially when Shannon's phone was found inside the house, with no sign of her or the children. The situation escalated, and Nicole immediately contacted the police. Shannon and her daughters were now officially missing, and the investigation would soon take a chilling turn. The investigation. When the police arrived at the Watts family home on the morning of August 13, 2018, they began a welfare check after Shannon and her 2 daughters had been reported missing. Chris Watts, who had been at work, soon returned home to meet the officers. He allowed them to enter the house, which appeared unusually undisturbed. Shannon's car was still parked in the garage, and the children's car seats were present, suggesting they hadn't gone far. During the initial search, the police found Shannon's purse, phone, and keys inside the house, raising more questions. Despite these personal belongings being left behind, there was no sign of Shannon or the girls. Chris, however, remained outwardly calm, but his behavior appeared off. He avoided direct eye contact with the officers and gave vague, often contradictory answers when questioned. When asked about his wife's whereabouts, Chris claimed that Shannon had taken the children to a friend's house after an emotional conversation about separating. However, there was no evidence to support that claim, and the police found no signs that Shannon had packed a bag or left voluntarily. Chris's inconsistent behavior and the absence of key evidence raised suspicions among the officers. As they began questioning him further, Chris's demeanor became more unsettling. Though he seemed concerned about his family's disappearance, his actions did not match the gravity of the situation. The investigators couldn't ignore the contradictions in his story, which only fueled their suspicions that something darker was at play. As the investigation progressed, these early inconsistencies would eventually lead authorities to dig deeper into Chris's actions, uncovering a chilling truth. Chris's confession. As the investigation progressed, authorities uncovered disturbing details about Chris Watts' personal life. It was revealed that he had been having an affair with Nicole Kessinger, a co-worker who later fully cooperated with the police. Kessinger revealed that Chris had confided in her about his desire to separate from Shannon, claiming that they were nearing a divorce. This revelation painted a stark contrast to the loving family image that Chris had portrayed to the public. Law enforcement also obtained crucial surveillance footage from a neighbor's security camera, which showed Chris backing his truck into the driveway in the early hours of August 13, 2018. The video captured him loading something into the truck, though it was unclear what was being moved. His actions seemed calculated, and investigators became increasingly suspicious. On August 15th, 2 days after Shannon and her daughters went missing, Chris failed a polygraph test. The mounting evidence, along with his inconsistent behavior, led Chris to confess. However, his story was troubling and full of contradictions. He claimed that during an argument, Shannon had choked their daughters, which led him to kill her in a fit of rage. He then disposed of her body and the girls' bodies in a horrific manner. Despite his confession, investigators remained skeptical of his version of events and continued to uncover more evidence pointing to his guilt in the brutal murders. The chilling truth was beginning to surface, revealing a premeditated crime far removed from Chris's initial story. The investigation into Shannon's disappearance took a horrifying turn as authorities uncovered shocking truths about Chris Watts. From a seemingly perfect family to a premeditated crime, the details surrounding the deaths of Shannon and her daughters are nothing short of disturbing. His confession revealed a dark side that no one saw coming, but there's more to this case than meets the eye. What truly happened behind closed doors? Was it a crime of passion or something more sinister? As the investigation continued, new evidence kept emerging, making it clear that there was a lot more to the story than Chris's initial claims. This case remains one of the most haunting family tragedies in recent memory. Stay tuned for our next video where we reveal the shocking diary that exposed a murderer's hidden secrets. You won't believe what was discovered.